What's up, guys? It's the MMA Analyst here to do my predictions for UFC 137. Thank you, everybody who has subscribed to youtube.com/BetMMA, basically where you are right now. If you're watching this video and you like my videos, subscribe to this channel because this is where the videos are going from now on. All right, so there you go. If you're looking to bet on this card and you don't know where to bet or whatnot, hit me up for some links. I can get you some links. If you sign up through the links I give you, then you also get my free betting picks for a month. All right, there you go. Let's get right down to it. I've got only 15 minutes because this channel hasn't got the hookups yet. Anyways, Georges St-Pierre versus Carlos Condit. I think this is a pretty simple situation where Georges St-Pierre is going to take this fight to the ground. Basically, ever since the knockout by Matt Serra, Georges St-Pierre says this: if you're good on the feet, I take you to the ground. If you're good on the ground, we stay on the feet. If you're better in one place, and it's like, then I'll just take you to the other place. It doesn't matter, So now Carlos Condit is good on the feet. He's good on the ground. But Carlos Condit's chances of winning are greater on the feet. If these guys stand in the middle of the octagon and throw punches and kicks, Carlos Condit will most likely knock out Georges St-Pierre. So, game plan, Georges St-Pierre is going to take this fight to the ground. Carlos Condit on the ground, he can get his sweeps on. Like we saw what he did against Dong Hyun Kim. Beautiful sweep, got the fight back to his feet, etc., etc. I don't think he's going to be able to do that with Georges St-Pierre. Carlos Condit was in a fight with Rory McDonald where I think it was absolutely necessary that he got that knockout or the TKO with 7 seconds left in the fight. If he hadn't got that, I think he would have lost 2-1, 29-28 to Rory McDonald, who was pushing the pace, getting the fight to the ground, etc., etc. Georges St-Pierre is not going to gas. That's what happened to Rory McDonald. He gassed, etc., blah, blah, blah. It's not going to happen. Georges St-Pierre is going to come out there, go throw a little jab, get the fight to the ground. Carlos Condit's going to try and get back to the feet. I think that is the big difference between the fight with Nick Diaz and the fight with Carlos Condit. Nick Diaz will stay on his back, and just George will throw really short elbows and really short punches just to make sure he doesn't extend anything and leave anything open for submissions or anything like that. Against Carlos Condit, I think the same thing happens. Georges St-Pierre gets the fight to the ground, plays it very safe, stays in the guard. You're going to hear Greg Jackson, don't pass guard. Don't pass guard. He's going to stay in there, be busy enough for the fight to stay where it is. And I think that's what happens for the entire fight. I don't see Carlos Condit getting finished. Maybe fourth round if he gasses. If Carlos Condit isn't in shape, then yes, he will gas. And that's really normally what happens. Georges St-Pierre gasses people who are either not in the kind of shape that you need to be on your back, warding off strikes and attack from Georges St-Pierre, or just people who aren't in shape to go 25 minutes in general. I think this is probably going to be the first case where Carlos Condit's probably in good shape, but on his back against Georges St-Pierre, feeling the pressure, all that stuff. Georges St-Pierre maybe gets the side control in the second round. Just more pressure, knees to the body, that kind of stuff. And Carlos maybe getting back to the feet a couple times and being taken right back down. I see all of that playing a big role in the fight, causing Carlos Condit to lose steam, and Georges St-Pierre keeps on trucking. If it's not a Georges St-Pierre decision, it's a win for Georges St-Pierre by maybe fourth round TKO. BJ Penn versus Nick Diaz. In my mind, this is like the fight of the year. I really hope this fight goes all 15 minutes. Really, I wish it was a 5-rounder. I wish it could go 25 minutes. This fight is about Nick Diaz doing his, peppering many high-volume strikes, body shots against BJ Penn trying to get in and land that beautiful counter. The big thing about Nick Diaz and his wins and everything he's been able to do is he's been able to fight guys that aren't as good a boxer as him. They might be a brawler, they might have heavy knockout power, but at the end of the day, Nick Diaz puts that fist in the face, snaps it out there, and then gets you tired, and boom, body shot, whatnot. And he's also been pretty much the more well-rounded fighter, over his last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 fights. In this fight, BJ Penn is going to have equally good boxing with knockout power, like one-shot knockout power, and really good jiu-jitsu. And if BJ Penn wants to get this fight to the ground, I think he can. If Nick Diaz wants to get the fight to the ground, I don't think he can. But I don't think that matters because both these guys are here to quote-unquote fight. I don't think we see many takedown attempts. If anybody tries to take this fight to the ground, they're really serious about a win. Because these are the kind of guys that are fighters. BJ Penn doesn't have to fight for anything. His parents got money. He's got money. Even the fact that he fought in the first place, he's a fighter. He'll fight anybody, any weight class. He was fighting Machida. He weighed in at like 190 and Machida was like 215. And BJ Penn fought him. He doesn't care. And Nick Diaz, he'll stand with brawlers who have no wrestling. He'll do anything. So I don't see any of these guys trying to get that I have to win this fight. Although a win for both of them would be very good at this point. BJ Penn definitely wants to get back on the winning track. Nick Diaz would love to come out with a win here. But I think at the end of the day, we're going to see a fight from two of the fightiest of fighters in the fighting world. And I'm going to love this fight. Fight of the night, absolutely. Possibly fight of the year. It just depends how long it goes on for. If BJ Penn loses this fight, it will be because he can't keep up with the sheer punching volume of Nick Diaz. If Diaz loses this fight, it's because BJ Penn catches him and puts him away in one of those exchanges. And I do have BJ Penn catching Nick Diaz and finishing the fight. Probably late third. Czech Congo, Matt Mitrione. This is a tough one. I've always been, vocal about the quality of opponents that Matt Mitrione has faced. And then when I took a look at Czech Congo's record and I really thought back, I said, you know what? Congo's faced tougher competition, but he actually hasn't beat much tougher competition. Pat Barry, Paul Buentello, 2010 Paul Buentello, Anthony Hardonk, Dan Evanson, Mustafa El Turk, post Pride, Mirko Krokop. At the end of the day, Matt Mitrione is looking solid with his development. Every fight he looks better, and Czech Congo pretty much been looking the same. The only difference is, I think this fight will be who wants to get the fight to the ground and who can actually pull it off. I don't think Matt Mitrione is going to go for any takedowns. Czech Congo has shown the tendency to at least kind of looked for a takedown recently in this whole I'm a well-rounded fighter type of a thing. In this fight, I think it would be a good idea. Matt Mitrione will be significantly bigger. He'll weigh in around 260, and Czech Congo recently has been around 235, maybe 240. Striking, it's going to be close. They always talk about this Czech Congo's striking level. It's not high. It's just he's better than a lot of these sloppy heavyweights. Matt Mitrione, really light on his feet. Pretty quick for a heavyweight. He could definitely catch Czech Congo and put him away like Pat Barry couldn't. And Czech Congo could definitely catch Matt Mitrione. I don't think the damage will be done with the legs. Matt Mitrione likes to throw these leg kicks to these fighters who don't know how to deal with leg kicks. That's not Czech Congo. At the end of the day, I do think Czech Congo will win this based off of pushing Matt Mitrione up against the cage, getting some ugly wrestling takedowns. Maybe being on top for a bit. Matt Mitrione trying to work off his back, getting tired. If the fight stays on the feet and nobody's going for takedowns, it's a heavyweight with both guys have punching power. Anything can happen. And if it that way, then I actually probably see Matt Mitrione catching Czech Congo before Czech Congo catches Matt Mitrione. But regardless, I'm picking Czech Congo probably by maybe a second round TKO or a decision. Next fight, Mirko Krokop versus Roy Nelson. Mirko Krokop's been done fighting for a few years now. He still continues to fight, but he's been done for a while, and this will be his last fight. I have I have the fight ending the same way it did against Brendan Schaub and Frank Mir, with Roy Nelson knocking him out. Roy Nelson also lost his last 2 fights, but they were by decision. Cro Cop has 0 aggression, and he hasn't for a long time. This is his last fight. He's been very clear about that. He's not looking to extend or re-sign after his contract expires. Pretty much, I have Roy Nelson being the aggressor, moving in. Mirko Cro Cop not being old Mirko Cro Cop or young Mirko Cro Cop and continuing to be this last few years tentative, backing up, not throwing counter punches, not being aggressive type of Mirko Cro Cop. And I have him losing this fight by a knockout. It's unfortunate that it's looked this way for Cro Cop, but I don't know. It's kind of ugly for it to go down like this, but I think that's the way it's going to go down. And that's it for Mirko Cro Cop. Hatsu Hioki versus George Roop. This is pretty simple. George Roop at his best has looked pretty decent, like against Josh Grisby. That was very surprising to see him be able to do that to Josh Grisby. He was aggressive. I would say he looked pretty decent. At his worst, he's looked like one of the worst fighters in the UFC. Now, against Hatsu Hioki, if Hatsu Hioki, in all of his grappling experience and his abilities and his wins, his Marlon Sandro win, and just what he is able to do, getting fights to the ground, submitting 12 of his opponents. If he can't beat George Roop, Japan body bag. That's it. Japanese MMA is just, this is, one of Japan's most highly touted guys currently against George Roop, who has, like I said, been very underwhelming. I sent emails to Dana, get him out of the UFC. But he has looked pretty decent, George Roop, since, moving down to featherweight. He knocked out Chan Sung Jung. He defeated Josh Grisby. He lost to Mark Hominick because Mark Hominick is just so much better of a striker. But anyways, I see Hioki getting the fight to the ground and submitting George Roop. And really, it shouldn't be too difficult for that to happen. That's my pick. Preliminary Spike TV card, Dennis Siver versus Donald Cerrone. I've got Donald Cerrone. I've got Tyson Griffin over Bart Pelashevsky. I've got Brad Tavares over Dustin Jacoby. Scott Jorgensen over Jeff Curran. I think this is Jeff Curran's return to the UFC. The last time he fought in the UFC was UFC 46 in 2004. That's crazy. Anyways, Brandon Vera over Elliot Marshall. Ramsey Nijem, Danny Downs. I don't know, I think I'm going to have to go with Ramsey Nijem. Downs didn't look too great, but Najem's also hasn't fought anybody. You know what? I'm going to go with Danny Downs. Whatever. I'm going to go with Danny Downs. And I've got Chris Camozzi over Francis Carmon. So there you go. UFC 137. Those are my picks. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, subscribe now. If you want to bet on MMA, I can send you some links. It helps me, by the way. When I send people links and they sign up through those links, it helps me out, right? So if you want to help me out and you want to bet on MMA, you can, get the link from me, and then I will also give you 1 month free of my MMA betting picks. All right? So there you go. UFC 137. MMA. It's important. I'm looking into the t-shirts, by the way. Just looking to see what I'm going to do with it. See if it's possible. Peace.